All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're mapping out the complete life cycle of visual storytelling. We're going to see exactly how you take a totally static concept and push it all the way through to a final, living, moving render. It's an incredible process, so let's get into the foundational concepts that make up this entire creative pipeline. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the blueprint of design, then move into bringing those ideas to life. After that, we'll walk step by step through the production pipeline, explore some real-world careers and applications, and finally, we'll take a peek at the future of animation. So let's kick things off with Section 1, the blueprint of design. Now, you might just think of design as making things look pretty. But at its core, it's really the process of creating visual solutions to communicate ideas and messages. I want to emphasize that part, communicating ideas. This is the static blueprint phase. It's a targeted, intentional, problem-solving process to make sure a specific message lands exactly how it's supposed to. I love this analogy for how it works. Think of the elements of design on the left, your lines, shapes, color, texture, space, and typography, as your raw ingredients in a kitchen. The principles on the right, things like balance, contrast, and repetition, well, that's your recipe. They're the literal techniques you use to mix those raw ingredients together into a communicative, structured blueprint. Okay, moving right along to Section 2, bringing ideas to life. Animation takes those static visual blueprints we just talked about and introduces the ultimate magic ingredient, time. By creating the illusion of movement through sequential images, we are literally tricking the human eye into perceiving life and breathing motion where, in reality, there are only still frames. And it's crazy to think about how much the method for creating this illusion has evolved. Back in the early 1900s, traditional hand-drawn animation was honestly unbelievably tedious. We're talking over 1 million individual hand-drawn frames for a single feature film. Fast forward to the 1990s, and the explosion of CGI completely flipped the industry on its head. And today, in the 2020s, we're already seeing the dawn of AI-powered animation. But here's the thing. Whether you're using a pencil or a supercomputer, to make that illusion convincing, you have to rely on the 12 principles of animation. These are the legendary, absolute golden rules of the craft. Things like squash and stretch, which gives a drawn object a sense of actual physical mass, or anticipation, which visually prepares you for an action before it happens. Without these principles, your work is just kind of stiff and lifeless. With them, you create true personality. Those core principles are applied across 3 massive pillars of the industry, and each has its own distinct real-world applications. 2D animation is what you see dominating traditional cartoons, educational content, and a lot of marketing. 3D animation is the absolute powerhouse behind blockbuster films and gaming, but it's also crucial for things like architectural simulations. And finally, motion graphics. That's what we use to animate graphic elements specifically for dynamic advertising and high-end presentations. Oh, and we definitely have to give a quick shout out to highly specialized formats like stop motion and VFX. These rely on physical, real-world models or seamlessly integrating digital elements into live-action footage, which expands the whole spectrum of animation even further. All right, let's look under the hood. Section 3, the production pipeline. Every single professional animation project out there relies on this strict 3-phase factory line. Pre-production is all about planning and designing, getting your ducks in a row. Production is where the heavy lifting happens, creating the actual assets and animating them. And finally, post-production handles the editing, rendering, and that final coat of polish. And let me tell you, you absolutely cannot successfully skip a phase here. To actually move a project through that pipeline, you need the right tools. The Adobe Suite, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects is pretty much the industry standard for foundational design and motion graphics. Over in dedicated character animation, Toon Boom is your heavy hitter for 2D, while Maya and Blender are the absolute go-tos for anything 3D. So what does this all mean for you? Section 4, careers and applications. Deciding where your passion lies within this pipeline really dictates your career path. If you love the static visual communication side, you're looking at roles like graphic designer, UI/UX designer, or branding specialist. But if you're obsessed with dynamic movement and bringing things to life, you'd steer toward becoming an animator, a 3D artist, a motion designer, or a VFX artist. But here's the catch. Succeeding in any of these roles requires a really specific balance of skills. Knowing the software is a baseline requirement, for sure, but that has to be matched with raw creativity, drawing ability, and most importantly, strong storytelling. Software alone is never going to tell a compelling story, but a great story needs those technical chops to actually be realized on screen. Mastering that blend of skills opens up some incredibly diverse doors. Obviously, we all know about entertainment and gaming, but this pipeline is stretching way beyond traditional media now. Fields like education and even healthcare are increasingly relying on 3D simulations and complex animated graphics to teach students and visualize intricate medical procedures. It's super fascinating. Which brings us to our final stop. Section 5, the future of animation. Things are moving incredibly fast right now, and several cutting-edge trends are actively rewriting the rules of this pipeline. AI is starting to speed up those historically tedious workflows. AR and VR are literally adding new dimensions for us to design in. Real-time rendering is erasing the massive wait times of traditional post-production, and virtual production is seamlessly blending physical movie sets with digital worlds in real time. We've seen how design creates the static blueprints, how animation breathes life into it, and how the pipeline structures all that magic. But with AI and real-time rendering completely flipping these traditions on their head, what is the next generation of visual storytelling actually going to look like? It's a massive, exciting question, and the answer is being built as we speak. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep designing, and I'll catch you next time.